Mason City Toros opening up the 2021-2022 season this weekend right here at Mason City Arena as they take on the Alexandria Blizzard. And it's time for some Toro talk because I'm Joel Norman, the voice of your Toros, alongside first-year head coach Nick Bruneteau. And Nick, a heck of an opportunity leading an inaugural squad that's coming off of a great season, of course, winning the Frazier Cup last year. What's that like trying to continue the traditions from the Bulls over to the Toros and start and make your own mark on the town?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of give and take involved, and we're so fortunate to step into a situation where there's been a culture built by Todd Sandin, and we got returning players, and then obviously we got to have our own little twist to it, and I think that's me and Marquise's job is not to come in with something different, but how can we add to what has already been put in place, and how can we add to what's been built here? So that's going to be our goal. We're not looking to change things up. We're more looking of how can we build from what they've already had in place, and how can we kind of, our players, how can they benefit from, maybe some new guys in place, but we're going to try and keep all the same stuff, Todd, the culture stuff and all the things that he's kind of had success with, because there's a reason why they've had so much success in the past.
You talked about the returners, 5 players who are all going to be part of the captain squad this year. Talk about your choices for them from a leadership aspect, why you chose those 5 players.
It's always interesting when you're trying to figure out, who the leaders are amongst your group. And I think that was kind of one of the big things for us is it was obvious from day one that we didn't necessarily have one guy sticking out. We had 5 sticking out. So that honestly made our jobs easy as coaches because it was a clear-cut reason. Like these 5 need to be our captains, and we didn't even think second about it. So I think that's we're excited to have them, and they've been a huge asset for our coaching staff.
I think that's a nice thing for fans, too. You can remember which 5 players were on the team last season. Just look at their left chest in a lot of ways. It works out like that. But it's an exciting way to start the season, too. You had a good start with the preseason game this past Sunday. Let's talk about that. What were some of your takeaways? Obviously, a lot of offense in the second period of that one after kind of a slow start in the first. But it's one of those things where I imagine you're looking at and you're saying there's still a lot of things to work on, but have to be some things you're also impressed with.
Yeah, definitely. We were excited with our offense. I thought whether it was our defensemen getting involved in the scoring or some of our guys forwards that were contributing, we felt very good about our offensive firepower. But on the flip side, we have a lot of work to do defensively. It's not where we need to be. It's not where come playoff time where we need to be at. So that's kind of been the big focus. There's definitely positive takeaways, but more so than that, we got to continue to improve. And just as myself and Marquise need to continue to be better as coaches, our players need to continue and grow their game. So that's kind of been the focus, is more the defensive side of the puck this past week.
Lots of home games to start the season. Seems like, this late portion of September and October, it's almost every weekend there's going to be some home games, it feels like. How great is that to start off and be able to feed off the energy of the fans to kind of kickstart your season? It's
huge because obviously, like you said, you should have a little bit of an advantage at home. So for our guys to kind of get, especially the new players, to get their feet wet and in the league, but I think that's something that for us, with our guys, feeding off the crowd, maybe it's worth a goal, maybe it's worth a couple extra opportunities each game. And I think right out of the gate, those are things that we can kind of run with, and hopefully that'll translate with a few more points than if we were on the road for the first 6.
We talked about some of the players who are going to be coming back and your excitement about that, with them being the captains. Talk about a couple of newcomers who you're really looking forward to watching on the ice this season, who you think are going to catch fans' eyes a lot.
We got a lot of them. You got guys like Cal Levis, who his intensity's, bar none. He's one of those guys that you can tell whether he's battling in practice a game or filling up his water bottle, that guy is as intense as it gets. And then there's others, like on the back end too, we have Blake Polifka, who's ultra skilled. He's got very good hands, but he's got a good brain as well. So those are a couple guys on each side, but the list is much bigger than that, whether it's Casper, Schmidt, there's lots of guys we're excited about, so that's something we're fortunate with, that we get to work with them.
I want to go back to the defense. We were talking about that a moment ago. That's something you said you are kind of looking to see improve. Granted, only just one game of sample size, and something you can obviously look at more after this weekend. How does that work when between the two coaches? Is that saying you're going to split up a little bit in practice and you have one of you work with them, or is that just different types of drills per se?
Well, there'll be different times and opportunities for each one of us to work with them. Marquise will obviously be working with them during the games, and as far as practices goes, we don't necessarily draw it as one guy works and the other guy works with the others. It's usually both of us having input, both of us trying to discuss what we want to work with them on. I think for our defensemen, we're kind of coming into that era of hockey where most guys are very offensive. So it's almost the reverse as when we were players, where we need to hone in that defensive side of the game. Whereas when we were coming up, it was more trying to help the defensemen become more offensive.
Yeah, it definitely seems like hockey in general had taken a turn for that direction in a lot of ways. Nick, it's going to be an exciting season. We're excited to get it going this weekend. Happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Joel.
That was Nick Bruneteau, the head coach for your Mason City Toros, as the Toro's getting set to take on the Alexandria Blizzard this weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend of hockey here at Mason City Arena. Thanks for tuning in for some Toro Talk.